Well, hello. I'm glad to be back, and I am thrilled that you guys are all continuing to still join me. This is such a delight to see you all every week, and I am also excited that we kind of have an easy week this week. We're going to be doing a little bit of experimentation with typography, and then we're going to be, posting our discussion and getting feedback from our classmates. Getting a little inspiration from a photo collage, and yeah, it's going to be a pretty easy week this week. So I'm going to dive in and talk a little bit about your working with typography and different ways that you can kind of make your business name, your company name, using different fonts and then putting it together in a way that looks nice and professional and something that you can be proud of. And then also briefly touch on our discussion as well, because I think that's really important. But actually, before I dive into that, does anyone have any questions or need any specific help with anything right before I begin? Cool. So this is what we're doing this week. I pulled up the rubric. By the way, if you guys haven't got a chance to kind of check out the rubric, I know there's a lot of things to click on in the classroom, but this is the way that I would recommend kind of handling your week. I would first recommend, when you open up the classroom, okay, so it's week 4. Week 4 has begun. What I would do is then go down to module, that's a hard word to say, module 4, and then being like, okay, so what is due in week 4, which is module 4. And then we see, oh, okay, so what we're doing is we're reading this information on typography, perfect. We're reading this little overview, perfect. And then our discussion this week is, and some people have been confused on this, our discussion this week is not to create your own collage. Your discussion this week is to take a look at some collages that have been made by other people, and you don't have to just stick to Hannah Hawk and John Hartfield. There's a lot of other collage artists that you're welcome to look at. And find a collage that kind of has the feeling and the kind of message that you're going for. Of course, it's not going to be exact. This is what inspiration's about. So inspiration, when we are working in art and design, is not about finding something that perfectly, exactly represents what you want to convey. Inspiration is about an element that you see in someone else's art that you're like, I'm going to steal that. So maybe you find a collage that has a color palette that is kind of the same color scheme that you want to go for. And maybe in week 3, you had a color palette in mind. And so you put down those colors. But then in week 4, you find a collage that has a color palette that you actually like a lot better. And so you can change at any point in this class, guys. At any point in this class, you can change your idea. You can change the name of your business if you want. You can change the imagery that you intended to use. You can change the color palette that you wanted to use. You are totally free to change anything that you want at any point in this class. So what you're going to do is you're going to find a collage that inspires you in some way related to your project that you're working on, and then share it in the class and talk about something in it that conveys something that's resonating with you, or that inspires you in some way, or that gives you some some spark of inspiration or ideas or creativity. And like I said, you don't have to stick to these two people here. We can venture over to Pinterest. And in fact, actually, I already have Pinterest up. So let's go ahead and I'm going to share my whole desktop. I have Pinterest over here. So first on Pinterest, I did a little search for font pairing. Hello, I can't spell. Font pairing. Because we are working with typography and fonts this week. So Pinterest is a great place to go to find fonts that look good together. Kind of like wine pairing, kind of like pairing a wine with the meal. You pair a large, chunky sans serif font with a skinny, serif font or skinny scripty font. And what you do is you kind of combine things that work together but are also slightly different, that bring out something in the other. So we're going to talk a little bit more about font pairing in a little bit, but what you can also do is go on Pinterest and do a search for photo collage. And we have some interesting photo collage concepts that are coming up here. And maybe something here might speak to you. And you might want to then use one of these in your discussion and talk about it. There's been a lot of really good things like photo collage plus illustration design things that have kind of come up recently in the design world to give you kind of an idea of photo collages that are mixed media, so combine like old black and white photos with contemporary photos. Also, there's been a lot of really cool collages that kind of combine illustration and drawings with photo elements. So, like I said, you may find that Hannah Hawk and John Hartfield are not resonating with you for whatever reason. So you're welcome to find something on Pinterest and share it in the discussion as well. So that brings us down to, only 2 things to do this week, you guys. It's going to be an easy week. It's going to be a fun week. And working with typography is so fun because really, it's hard to go wrong. As long as it's readable, as long as your text to background has enough contrast, as long as you're using alignment, you can go crazy with a typography. So we are going to take a look at the module for activity guidelines. And I recommend that you guys take a look at this every week before you submit your assignment, because when you click on it, it gives you the rubric for how you're going to be graded. And really, if you just kind of like follow along the rubric and make sure that your piece hits all those points, then it makes my job easier because I can just go down the rubric and go A. You hit all the points. You get full credit. Everyone is happy. My job is easy. Your grade is good. And it's all good. Okay, so this is what we're doing this week. It doesn't specify a size. And what it's asking you to do is make a number of separate typographic designs, and you're going to be saving them as JPEGs. And then you're going to be putting them into Word. This is a new development. They didn't used to have this before. So I'm just kind of actually reading this for the first time because this is definitely a change that's been made to the classroom. Of course, you're always going to save your raw PSD files for backup when you want to make changes for your portfolio and all of that. And you also want to be able to have those raw PSDs so that you can put them, make changes to them and put them in your final project. And so you're going to do 3 different versions of your business name. You're going to put them into Microsoft Word, and then you're going to convert that Microsoft Word file to a PDF. Okay, so let's get busy. Let's do this. You know, since our design is, I believe, 11 by 17, our final, I'm going to go ahead and make our concept typography design logos that 11 by 17 size. So go File, New, 11 by 17. And I'm just going to work in RGB mode for now because RGB mode gives us access to the most blending modes and adjustment layers and filters. Now we have to come up with a fun little name for our business. And we also have to think about what color we want to work in. I would recommend working in black because you can always change the color later. Black against a white background is easy to read. And if you ever want to place your logo on a dark background, let's say you want to emboss it on leather or something, all you have to do is change it to white, you know. So you don't want to have a logo that has both black and white in it, unless it's like a black box with like white text inside of it. Because if you have like white lettering with like a black illustration, you're never going to be able to find a background that has enough contrast to work with both black and white. So, you know, you can use black and medium gray or black and dark gray. You can use white and light gray. You know, you can use dark blue and medium blue, or light blue and medium blue. But you don't want to have like really dark blue with really light blue, because it's going to be really hard to find a background that will be readable for both those hues. Okay. So what are we going to do? I need to think of a business name. I'm going to think of the first thing that pops into my head, which is capybaras and a food. Strawberries. Okay, so my business name is called Capybaras and Strawberries, and we'll start by making this as big as possible, right? You want to, when you're first coming up with a typography, a logo, you want to make it as big as possible. Now, if I scroll down to 72 point on the little drop-down menu, that's as far as it'll go, but it's still not big enough. So you can actually, you know, highlight your text, and then you can actually type in, you know, 300 if you wanted to. You can type in like big numbers, and that's a way to go beyond the just standard 72. We'll do 200. See what that gives us. There we go. That's a good size. So right now, I guess I'm using the kind of default Gill Sans. Let's say I'm going to decide that I'm going to use Gill Sans, which is found up there for now. And then I'm going to choose another font that kind of goes with Gill Sans. And I've decided like the placement of that word capybaras is really good. What you can do is click on these little rulers here and draw out these guidelines. So now I'm going to make sure that any other part of my logo is going to fit within these guidelines. So I have alignment. So we've already talked about two design elements that are really important. Contrast, you want to make sure that you are using a color that is significantly lighter or darker than your background so that it's easy to read. And then alignment, you want your logo to have a strong structure to it. So you don't want things just like hanging off the end or randomly placed. Okay, now I'm going to make a new layer. Notice I am making every word a separate layer so I can easily move them around and reorder them. I'm anticipating a slight difficulty that might happen for those of you who have Creative Cloud 2019. There's this glitch where it's making it very difficult to select layers. Whereas if I overlap text or overlap layers, then it's going to make it difficult when I select layers. So just be aware that that might happen. And if that's happening for you, and if you're having difficulty selecting layers, it's not your fault. It's a problem with the recent update to Photoshop. And so just some ways to work around it is to select the layer here in the layer panel and then use your arrow tools on your keyboard to move things around. I'm going to make a little ampersand. And I'm going to use my move tool, which is this little crosshairs arrow up here. And in 2019, you can resize something by just clicking on the corner, like so. But in earlier versions of Photoshop, you will want to hold down the Shift button as you resize. And I'm just putting it there for now. I'm kind of aligning it over there because I'm not sure yet where I'm going to be ordering things. And so I use Avenir condensed. What I'm thinking is Avenir condensed and Gill Sans, they're so similar. I don't think that they're quite working. I'm going to play with the font a little bit more. And I'm just kind of trying to find the negative space. Again, if you are using an older version of Photoshop, you will want to hold down the Shift button as you resize from the corner. 2019, you don't have to do that. Oh, Cather has asked a great question. I believe your name is Catherine. How did I get the guidelines? So first, in order to bring out the guidelines, you need to make sure that your rulers are showing up. And then what you can do is hit, if you don't see your rulers on the left and the top, you can hit Command R to bring up the rulers. And then you just click on the ruler and drag down, and you can make these guidelines, which are really useful. And if you want to temporarily hide your guidelines because you don't need them anymore, you can hit Command semicolon to make the guidelines go away, Command semicolon to make them come back. Okay, so it's just about clicking on the ruler. Okay, so I'm gonna do kind of a standard sort of very, square sort of logo. And so I'm playing with this ampersand right now, getting it to line. Maybe a little bit down, a little bit. And like I said, I feel that we have a very thin sans serif font, and we have another thin sans serif font. So I feel like going with something a little bit thicker is going to work for us. And I feel like also I'm going to keep this all in lowercase letters for this version of my logo. And again, I'm just kind of making sure that the S in strawberries is aligning. And then aligning this. Okay, it's not great. I think I think what's not working for me is these hanging down. These are called the descenders. And the descenders are creating a negative space here because I can't bring the bottom word too close. So it might be worth experimenting with making this word all caps. And so that we don't end up having those ascenders and descenders sort of interfering with each other. Cool. And then I might use a line here. Make sure that you hold down the shift button as you draw a line. It's because you get that sort of thing happening. There we go. Oh, because I'm like, why is it white? Because my stroke is huge. That's why. There we go. And I'm going to change this. Be a little bit thicker. Oh, right now it's just 1 point. There we go. We're going to actually have to draw that again, because when you draw the line and it's only, a single point, it's always going to be really, there we go. And a few of you guys had this issue where every time you drew a arrow, you got or every time you drew a line, you got the arrow thing happening. So I'll show you how to fix that. If you go up to the gear icon up at the top, turn off the arrow heads on the start. And this is really annoying. This is a 2019 glitch that keeps on happening, where it keeps on thinking that I want to put a huge stroke on this. And I'm like, no, I didn't tell you to do that. So hold down the shift button. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be my first logo. And I'm going to go ahead and make a little folder for these. So I'll go File, Save As. Make a new folder. And then I'm going to name this a JPEG. So I'll go File, Export, Save for Web, JPEG, Save. And this is going to go into our little folder, so it's all nice and organized. Okay, and now I'm going to make a different document for my second version. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'll call this Typo 2. And now let's use some different fonts. So I'll venture over into Pinterest and get a little inspiration for font pairings. So scripty font with a very sans serif, modern, thin font. That's really good. This sort of very thin font is really good. With the serif font is really nice. So it's kind of about opposites. And if you kind of look into like font pairing rules, opposites attract, but you don't want to have like two complicated fonts right next to each other. You don't want to have something that's like rosewood, you know, that really ornate stagecoachy Old West font with something like papyrus, because those are two like very complicated fonts. So you wouldn't want something like Algerian, which is a very complicated font, mixed with like a super scripty font. You want like complicated with simple, scripty with sans serif, bold with thin. So you want those opposites. So I'm going to try, scroll through and find something. That's kind of cool. Not in italic, I want it light. Let's see if we can get it extra thin, extra light. Yeah. Look how hot that looks. So I use that acumen variable concept in thin. So that's really nice. I'm going to get my move tool and move this line over a little bit. And get rid of that line. I like this. I like these two together because it's a very chunky font with like a very super thin font. I think I'm going to get rid of that ampersand. And I might use that acumen thin. It could be like, it could be kind of big and in the background. Could be overlapping. No, I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm going to do something else. So I'm going to use, I think, some negative space. And kind of put it there. And I feel like that's too bold. I feel like I'm going to need a thinner font. Something like that for now. Okay, so now I'm going to save that file. Save as. If we already saved that. And we're going to save this as the JPEG as well. So go File, Export, Save for Web. JPEG high. And now I'm going to save this as typo3 so that I have a new document. And let's see if we can find something on Pinterest to inspire us. So we can do a search for text logo. Ooh, this is very pretty. Like the idea of like doing a lot of negative space between the letters. Oh, I like this. This is very cute. I'll do something like that. Okay, so I'm going to turn these off. And I'm going to find a big CS. And we'll scroll through and we'll find a font that is good, although this is kind of cute. Now, if I wanted to use these two letters, something that's bugging me is that they're both very far apart, and I'd like to bring them closer together. So you can do something called kerning to bring your letters closer together. And to kern, what you do is hold down the Option button. This is my first time doing it in 2019, so we'll see if it works. You hold down the Option button, and then you click the left arrow. Yep, there it goes. And see, you can bring your letters closer together like this. And it's kind of cute like that. Let me see if a few other fonts might be better. Something really bold, something that doesn't draw too much attention to itself. This looks cute. Okay, and so what I'm gonna do is do a white box behind it and then the words inside the white box. So I'm gonna get white, I'm gonna get a rectangle tool. We'll see if we can do something like that. Now, if I have the box too wide, it hides the fact that this is a C and an S. We don't want that. I like how it's sort of abstracted, but I might put the letters a little bit farther apart by holding down the Option button and going like that. And now I'm going to get a really elegant, and I'll try again that Acumen font. Thin. I'll use center line for now. That is the annoying thing. So I clicked on the box and it thinks that I'm trying to select these words. So what I'm going to have to do is make a new layer, go up here and start typing. Oh, because it's so big, it's Photoshop's like, are you trying to select this layer? No, I'm not, Photoshop. There we go. And I'm going to have to type up here and then bring it down, which is annoying. Just weird little things we have to work around with 2019 being weird. Now I have to go back to my font and select this again. And something I want to do is experiment with bringing the tracking out. So spreading the tracking out means we increase the space between the letters. So I'm going to highlight those letters, then go up to the character palette up here, and then find the tracking, which is this guy, the VA that's in the box here. And we can increase the tracking like so. There we go. Go away. I'm gonna maybe, I think, shrink down this box a bit. And then what I'll do is save this. So I'll go File, Save, and then go File, Export, Save for Web, and save this as JPEG High. Now we have our 3 photos. And now we're ready to bring this into Microsoft Word. I'll share my whole desktop as I do this. So I open up Microsoft Word, and then I go Insert, Photo, Picture from File. Insert, Photo, Picture from File. So that's version 1. I'm going to hit a little Enter, Return, and then I'm going to go to Insert, Photo, Picture from File. picture 2, and then go insert photo, picture from file. And now we save the PDF. And to save the PDF, we go to File, Save As, Format, PDF. I'm going to browse to our folder. And then, put your name on it somewhere, put the assignment on there somewhere. So you could call this GRA 101, week 4, your name, format PDF. And that is what you're going to be turning in. Alrighty. Does anyone have any questions? Or need help with anything? And if you have any questions on previous weeks, you can definitely feel free to ask that as well. Oh, Lana, go ahead and let me help you with that, because that seems a little bit strange. Go ahead and share your screen. So hit the share screen button on the center here, and I'll be able to kind of look at what you have and help you with that issue. And to share your screen, just hit the share screen button on the center of the screen right there. Perfect. Okay, so what is going on there? So let's go up to, I think, let me see, we might have a huge file. Go up to image up at the top of the screen, and then go to image size. Oh, I see. So we are in pixels. Hit OK. And then go up to, see the Photoshop icon up there? Click on that Photoshop icon. Oh, actually, yours is a little different. Let's do hit edit. Hit the little edit at the top of the screen. And we have to find, you are on a PC, everything's different. Let me figure it out. Go to scroll, let's see. Let's actually try file. Let's go to file. And is there properties? Because there should be a place to change the preferences. We'll see if it's in the edit menu. Go back to the edit menu and let's see if we find something that says preferences. So go down. There it is at the very bottom. It's hiding from us. Now go to guides, grid, and slices. And then right now you have a guide. Let's see your ruler. Units and rulers, go up there. It's just one thing up there, good. And right now your ruler is in pixels, so we'll change it to inches. And that looks good. Okay, cool. Now we are in inches. Anything else I can help you with? Alrighty. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, thank you guys so much for being such a great class. Feel free to email me if you have any questions. And I will be posting this in the classroom. And just good luck this week. It's going to be an easy, fun week. I don't think there's anything to be stressed about. But I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Thanks for being a great class.